Today, our topic is about the process discovery, which is the chapter 5. Uh, in this chapter, we will first discuss about the setting of process discovery, and then we'll discuss different methods used in the process discovery. After that, we are going to learn about methods of modeling process, and at last, we look for process modeling for quality assurance. So, first, let's learn about process discovery. As we say, the definition of process discovery. Its main act is for gathering information about an existing process and organizing. In the terms of an as a process model, the main aim is of process discovery is to produce as this process model. This process model represents how a process works. Now let's look at the four tasks of the process discovery. The first one is we will define the setting of process. Discovery project. This means we need to assemble a team of people that is responsible for managing the project. Then we have to start gathering information is required to understand how the process actually works. Then we need to arrange this information in a systematic way, which is the task of modeling. Finally, we need to consider quality assurance after conducting modeling tasks. Quality assurance guarantees that the product model meets all the quality criteria out of this four tasks. Assurance assuring process model quality, we will work only if the modeling task is conducted. And next, we have two important roles in process discovery, one step, process analysis, and the second one is domain expert. The difference between these two roles is important because they are associated with different skills and expertise. The process analyst is responsible for gathering information for a business process, while the domain expert already has the knowledge of how a particular task is performed in the process. The process analyst has no prior experience of being a process participant or a customer. But domain expert has experience of process participant and owner of process. There are various challenges and coming up with accurate process model. There are various challenges and coming up with the accurate process model. The three main process discovery challenges are fragmented process knowledge, thinking in cases, and lack of familiarity with process modeling language. Let's look in detail about each challenge. Fragmented process knowledge in business process. Different people involved to perform different business tasks and each one has different views about the process. In this way, there can be information compatibility issues. This is a job of process analyst to conduct the iterative validation and put fragmented process pieces of data together. Thinking in cases, domain experts know very details of a process, but the major challenge is to abstract data. When discover a process, we are more interested in learning about small details of how a process actually works. Data or abstraction is important in third challenge about the lack of familiarity with process modeling language means if you are not a BPM expert, you won't if understand anything and so the process analyst must take in a natural language which is understood by the domain expert. So we get information right that is required for the process model. Now let's look at the profile expert man, process analyst. As a profile of an expert process analyst, you may wonder that the make a process analyst expert is a good plus analyst that has different skills. The ex individual has spirit to get the right people on board. The process analyst is also a person who needs to formulate a test hypothesis. The process analyst must also be able to identify patterns and how certain cases are similar and how to represent cases them in the business process model. And finally, the process analyst must pay attention to model quality and And now we are going to see about five-factor model. The five-factor model describes the personality of a process analyst. The first factor is openness, which describes how open-minded, being open to art, passion, exploration. And the next one is consciousness. It is characterized by a proclivity for self-discipline, achievement, and planning. Extraversion is defined as a being upbeat, enthusiastic, and social. Compassion and cooperation are examples for agreeableness, anxiety, depression, and vulnerabilities are all manifestations of neuroticism. And the process discovery methods, evidence-based discovery methods, document analysis. There is a documentation that may be linked to an actual company procedure. The major benefit of analyzing documents is that the process analyst may utilize the available documentation to become acquainted with the certain aspects of a process and its surroundings as well as to create a hypothesis. And the second one is the observation. Using the observation as a technique of a discovery, we require directly see the processing of specific cases to gain a knowledge of how the process works. To understand the process, analyst might either assume that active role of client or the passive position of an observer. And then the automated process discovery. This approach employs events logs, which are process execution data kept by common enterprise systems that are available in an organization to automatically identify a model of business process that is supported by these systems. And then we are going to see about interview-based discovery. The goal is to interview domain experts to learn how a process is carried out. We have two options for conducting an interview: beginning the process outcomes, example, an order being fulfilled. We work our way backwards until we reach the process tickets. And an example for that is the receipt for a purchase order. And the second one is we go ahead from triggers until we reach the process results. Yet it is a time-consuming discovery process that necessitates the participation of several persons. And the workshop-based discovery is it provides the ability to gain a through grasp of a business process with the added benefit of resolving conflicting viewpoints among domain experts from rapidly during interviews. A facilitator may be asked to manage the vocal contribution of participants while a process modeler may be engaged to develop the process model as a workshop progress. And then we are We are going to learn about the strength and weakness of process discovery method. The different aspects are objective, richness, time consumption, and immediacy of feedback of evidence discovery. The objectivity is high, while for interviews and workshops it is medium high. For evidence-based discovery, the richness is medium. For the interviewers, richness is medium, but for the interviews and workshop it's high. For evidence-based discovery, the time consumed is low, medium, while for interview and workshop it is media. For evidence-based discovery, immediacy of feedback is low, while for interviews and workshops it's high. Let's see the different methods, their strength and weakness. Document analysis. The strength are structured information independent from stakeholders' ability, and the weakness are alternative material and wrong level of abstraction. Second observation, the strength is construct rich insights and the weakness of potential intrusive stakeholders likely to behave direct differently, and only few cases and not all the process can be observed. Automated discovery, the strength or extensive set of cases and objective data, the weakness or potential issue with data, and quality level of abstraction data may be not available or not be available only the part, and data extraction and preparation is time consuming. The next one is the interviews, which is context rich insight, strength, and requires space time of stakeholders, time consuming, and several iterations required before signing off. And then the last one is the workshop, which strength is context-rich insight, direct resolution of conflicting views, and then with weaknesses requires simultaneous availability of multiple stakeholders, time-consuming, multiple session typically required. The process modeling method, there are different methods. The first one is to be identify the process boundaries, and it is necessary to understand the scope of process, which include the process which who are involved in the process creation and what is the estimated time and cost of the process. After the second one is to identify the activities and events which are intermediate. The goal is to identify the main process and the events. Third, to identify resource in the hands of after determining the primary activities, we categorize this activity on the basis of the data provided. Fourth, identify the control flow, and the control flow is concerned with timing and the action of these events executed. The fifth is identify additional elements. These elements have the database and the data stored of which are required to store the data in process. This modeling diagram, there are different theme links, the task that are performed in the business process are represented in the box. The arrows show the flow of process, and the total arrows show the flow of message. Now let's study about the process model quality assurance. So this is a process model quality assurance applied over there. Over here, the first one is the semantic, and the second is the syntactic, and the third is paragraph. Parametric semantic looks for validation, syntactic looks for verification for, and pragmatic looks for the certification. That learn in detail about these three qualities. And semantic, we focus on overall meaning of the model after the model is validated or validated all. Conclusion can be drawn in the syntactic. We are concerned about the structure and behavior. The structure deals with the connection and between various model pieces, while the behavior is concerned about how a process model can be instantiated and is pragmatic. We are connected with the how user is using a process model. So coming to the conclusion in this chapter, we learned about the four tasks of process discovery methods, the major difference between the process analyst and process discovery methods are the major differences between the process analyst and domain expert. We looked at the challenges faced in process discovery. This chapter also focuses on what makes in process analysis often long with us, also with different process and modeling methods. And finally, we saw the process quality assurance, which is witness several discovery process and modeling methods. So this is a chapter of which is process discovery, which we have learned many things in this, and so this is our conclusion. So these are the things which we all learned in this. I hope you I explained my things very clearly. So thank you.